Hi, I'm Ipek Burnett, the author of A Jungian Inquiry into the American Psyche, The Violence of Innocence. This book was published by Routledge in 2019, but the project, of course, goes many years back. Originally, it started as my doctoral dissertation while I was at Pacifica Graduate Institute, and it is inspired by and dedicated to James Hillman. While I was at Pacifica, I got to read A Terrible Love of War, in which I first came across James Hillman talking about American innocence, which he defines as not knowing and not wanting to know either. And for Hillman, this is an addiction, and it is this addiction to innocence that constitutes the national endemic disease in the United States. And he observes that while many Americans may see themselves as good and innocent, people around the world often perceive the intents and actions of this nation as righteous and violent. So it was this relationship between innocence and violence, this paradox, that really intrigued me, that raised a lot of questions for me, and I decided to follow the thread. Just think about it. The United States has been built on such noble ideals: democracy, freedom, equality. Since the very beginning, it's been seen as a promised land, a new world for new beginnings, a city upon a hill, a place for people to follow their dreams, their American dream of opportunity and prosperity, a place where there's a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And then, of course, there are the larger global goals: setting an example, spreading democracy, liberating those parts of the world that are under oppressive regimes. But then you flip the coin and look on the other side of these good intentions, the noble dreams and ideals, and you see land theft, you see genocide, you see slavery and xenophobia, imperialism, nuclear bombs and torture chambers. You see endless wars abroad and gun violence at home, racism, sexism, income inequality, corporate corruption, um, ecological distraction. The list goes on. So, how can we even mention innocence in the face of what history presents us? How can we mention innocence in the face of what we witness every single day all around us? I've come to understand that to overlook these inconsistencies and traumas, nations, just like individuals, make use of psychological defense mechanisms, collective psychological defenses, as in social amnesia, projection, denial, even dissociation. So my work now focuses on peeling these layers to see what lies beneath, exploring not only the visible violence, but invisible forms of violence, by which I mean structural, social, psychic, that we see in white supremacy or reckless materialism. It's a way of seeing through, as Hillman would say it, not taking any patriotic, heroic, dominant narrative for granted, or as literally, and looking for fantasies everywhere. In this case, this fantasy of innocence, because it is in history books, it is in political debates. Working on my dissertation and later on this book has been a remarkable opportunity for me as an immigrant to learn deeply about the country I've come to call my home. I came here as an immigrant at the age of 18 to go to college, and I received the best education I could ever dream of. And then I stayed. I decided to stay. I decided to become an American citizen. I decided to raise my family here. And so there is something that James Baldwin says that resonates deeply with me. He says, "I love America more than any other country, and that's exactly why I insist on my right to criticize her perpetually." After I finished my PhD, like many other American citizens, I was alarmed by the ever-growing state of anger, fear, and frustration in today's political climate in the US. And having done my research, I know that during these troubling times, repression and denial are not viable options, nor are despair or cynicism. So I'd like to believe that I am doing my part by sharing this work, sharing this book, writing op-eds, um, adding one more voice to the dialogue, offering one more perspective, the depth psychological perspective. Because I do truly believe that this, though troubling, this time, is an opportunity for us all to reflect on our legacy, reflect on the American myths and ideals, and interrogate our national consciousness as well as the unconscious. Thank you.